Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for the Sports Source. 90 full minutes of detailed UT Martin breakdown. Not coming at you next. We'll be doing about the first 8 or 9 minutes on UT Martin. Then we're going to be talking Heisman race, playoff race, deep dive into Tennessee, Kentucky. Our resident defensive coordinator is going to break down Josh Heupel's offense, give you the basic gist of how that works, why it's so effective. We got lots to come today, but at first I just want to say thank you just for always being here for this show. As a loyal group of viewers, there are none finer in East Tennessee. My sponsors appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, UT did some help last week beating Alabama as well, but our numbers were spectacular, so I thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and get into today's show. This first segment brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. When it comes to clearing mess from your home, old furniture, junk you don't use anymore, even big items like sheds or boats, things that need to be taken apart, well, Junk Be Gone can break it down, load it up, and carry it off for you. I use them at least once a year. If you are a business owner, you can use them at your workplace, or you can use them at your home like I do. JunkBegone.biz to learn more. Mike Such and his family run a spectacular business. Get down there and check them out, JunkBegone.biz. All right. As we get ready to talk UT Martin, let's introduce the first wave of panelists. Congratulations. You get to talk about that spectacular, riveting game yesterday.
I'm looking forward to it.
Jimmy Hines from 99.1 The Sports Animal, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Marlon Walls, VFL, thanks for being here, buddy.
Let's go, baby.
Former Virginia Tech defensive coordinator, former Virginia Tech player, former NFL player, Justin Hamilton, back with us. Justin, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Still undefeated in Knoxville.
There you go, undefeated in Knoxville. And right down there we have former Vol walk-on, and as he likes to joke, he also walked off.
No,
Bob
ran off.
Ran off. Bob Hodge, longtime sports writer, longtime media member in this panel, and the since you were there the first show, the longest tenured member of the Sports Source. Thank you for being here.
There we go.
All right.
Off defeated in Knoxville.
Very good. All right, the Vols crushed UT Martin 65-24. The only thing that was bad about yesterday is Chuck Cavaleris beat everyone here in our pick segment because we all took 42.5, and that last garbage time field goal took us all out. But what's the lead story coming out of that one? I mean, look, you're supposed to roll over them. You did. But it's an FCS opponent, 65-24. What's the takeaway? I'll let Bob start. What's the lead story if you had to make one for the Sentinel?
If I'm going to go with one lead, it's that this coaching staff continues to do all the right things. You were prepared for UT Martin. You put 52 points up in the first half. You did some of that without your starting quarterback, who was out of the game before the end of the first half, which I thought was just fantastic.
Could have gotten him out sooner.
Could have gotten him out sooner. But it was just the fact that, yep, it was 7-7 at one point, but after that, you totally dominated them. We've seen Tennessee teams not do that. We've seen a lot of teams around the country not do that. Did you go to halftime and the score's 24-10 or something? Nope, you came out, you took care of business. I think that's a credit to the coaching staff. That's a credit to the players. And I don't really think I think the culture thing gets overplayed, but that's a credit to the culture you got. Hey, we came out, we took care of our business, and we did what you're expected to do.
Well, that's a good point.
Except beat them by 42.5.
Well, except 42.5. But here's the, I mean, you're right. It's a noon kickoff. We all know that the noon kickoffs are tough. You could have easily had an Alabama hangover. You go from playing Alabama to an FCS school. There could have been a hangover there. Yeah. So, yeah, you did the job. Gentlemen, lead story?
Well, here's one to me. If Tennessee plays a team that is an average or below team, or they have an average defense, Tennessee's going to beat the hell out of them. That other team has no chance. I just think Tennessee they're that committed, they're that focused, their offense is that good. They're going to score 50 almost everybody, including Alabama. I just think the way this team is going right now, if you're not pretty darn good, then Tennessee's going to whip you.
I think that system, too, we've talked about that. I think we noticed that last year, that system raises the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
I still wonder. I thought there would be a ceiling to it because traditionally those kind of offenses have had a ceiling. I'm starting to wonder about that now. Maybe proven wrong, but certainly there's no question. You know, you're not going to lose to a Georgia State with that offense because
No.
lesser teams just can't keep up with that kind of system. So
Look what they did in Missouri and South Carolina last year, too. So, I just think that where they're going right now, if you're not really good and have a really good defense, I don't give you much of a chance.
Marlon, what's your big lead? What's your takeaway?
I would say the biggest thing is something that we said earlier is culture. Culture. I was standing on the sideline for that game yesterday, and the biggest thing I noticed was when Milton went in the game, Sampson went in the game, even some guys on defense went in walk-on wise. The first string guys was super excited, like they've been waiting on those guys to get their chances. So the big thing I would say I took away from it is the obvious stuff is we're going to score points and all the rest of that. My biggest thing was culture. We've got a great coach over there in that locker room.
Did you see the reaction after William Wright had the interception?
Yeah. I mean, genuinely excited for their guys, and that's hard. That's especially like when you're getting a lot of talk about Joe Milton. But Hendon's just as excited for that guy to go in as anyone else. So that was pretty cool to see.
You know, and we wondered about that last year when Heupel came in, and usually new coaching staff runs guys off. They have to put the foot down and show that we're the toughest, we're the baddest mothers that ever been in here. Nobody's going to survive. He didn't have that opportunity because they lost so many players. He had to come in and say, let's play dodgeball.
Yeah.
Let's play kickball. And if that hadn't worked, he would have been ripped for that mercilessly. But I wonder how much of this culture, going back to watching the Super Bowl together and that kind of stuff, how much of that was brought together last year in the early days? Was the foundation laid for where they are now?
What if he'd said to Cedric Tillman, that guy's caught 8 passes in 3 years? Why don't you transfer?
Right.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't come in and say, wait till I get my 25.
That's exactly like the last guy.
Yes,
Right.
these are my
And
plays.
that's how it goes. It goes, and things that happen in the dark come to surface in the light, and that works for good things too. The culture that's been built that we've all talked about, it's coming to light. And Tennessee did what they were supposed to do yesterday. They handled business. If you weren't at the game, then it didn't disrupt your Saturday. You were able to play outside, check in on the game. Okay, we got 52 in the second quarter.
Right.
Continue as is. And I think the other thing that I took away as an unbiased football observer, the LSU win is becoming a bigger and bigger win each week, and the defense holding them to 10 points, or to 13 points, excuse me, in that game. That's credit to the defense as the defensive guy.
Yeah, the LSU quarterback went nuts yesterday. Did not do that against Tennessee. I wanted to mention Brandon Turnage has to leave the game with an injury. Elijah Simmons leaves the game due to injury. I hate these games. Don't like covering them. I think they're boring. I just kudos to the Vol fan base though, selling out. I mean, they've had. This is the first time they've had 4 straight sellouts at Neyland since 2007. So it's been 15 years since the program has gotten this kind of support because of this kind of winning. But 2 of those sellouts were Akron and UT Martin. That deserved. Danny White needs to tip his cap for that one to those guys. That's fans showed up.
And Kentucky's a sellout, too.
Yeah, and so 5 straight coming. But you look at, or is Kentucky the 4th? No, yesterday was the 4th. That's the 5th.
Right.
But you lose a couple of guys. Don't know when they'll be back. Don't know if it was serious or not. You had a bunch of starters out, and that's another thing that they had to overcome yesterday. Tons of guys that started against Alabama didn't start yesterday. But I despise those games. I think they're only good for injuries. And yet coaches and schools keep lining up the FCS guys, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they feel there's value in getting backups in there, et cetera, et cetera. Justin Hamilton, you were defensive coordinator in the Power 5 school last year. What's the point of those games? Is there one?
They're called guaranteed games, and that's supposed to be a guaranteed win for the FBS team, a guaranteed check for the FCS team. I hated them as well. I think that, you don't cover. We give up 24 points.
Yeah.
We only scored 65. We could have scored 100. There's just nothing good that comes out of those games from that perspective, and it's really difficult after you knock off the dynasty, the evil empire, to get your kids back ready, which again speaks to the culture at Tennessee, because as a coach, I hated every one of those games.
I'll just real quickly, Tennessee, they didn't wear it. This is kind of, I'd like to see them do this more. I'm a traditionalist. I like just don't mess with the uniform. So if you want to do the trim, the sleeves and that kind of stuff in another color, fine. I kind of like the Summit Blue. If it was good enough for Ernie and Bernie and Tony White and Dale Ellis on the basketball team, I didn't mind it. I like the UT Martin, Pat Summit thing made sense.
Yep.
Thoughts on the Summit Blue? Thumbs up, thumbs
No,
down?
I liked it. I liked it when I first heard that. I thought that was a nice tribute to Pat Summit. Her alma mater is UT Martin,
Yeah.
so that was the tie-in there, and it was a 50th anniversary for Title IX, so there was a combination there. But I thought it was neat, and I thought it was neat for that many players to also wear that accented some on their leg, their arm, wherever it was.
Were you cool with the look of it?
Yeah, man, they actually played a quick video of Pat Summitt, and the whole stadium went crazy. And so it kind of pushed you back to the Pat Summitt blue, and it was a cool deal. Very cool
Did
deal.
you like the color?
Classy touch.
Yes, I had no problem with that.
And you're a guy who doesn't like
And
the,
I
yeah.
don't like changing anything.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. And also for Danny White, it's another way to promote his women's brand as well, since that's the Summit Blue's a new thing for UT this year in terms of being termed that in the Nike lexicon. But it cross promotes your women's team. So, all right, let's tell you what's coming up. We're already way over. We went way over thanks to Summit Blue. Explaining the veer and shoot. Justin Hamilton's going to break down the Josh Heupel offense for you, give you the basics of that. We'll talk about the Heisman race, the playoff race. Any concerns about Kentucky, and how will Kentucky attack Tennessee and try and stop that incredible offense? Plus the Cavaliers line, much, much more. When we come back, though, what have been the biggest surprises, positive surprises from the Vols this year, and what are the biggest issues moving forward? Are there any? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.